Hey guys, welcome to this episode where we're going to talk about why small fashion brands struggle or disappear and what to do about it. So, this is a serious topic, right? And this might be a little bit longer, but I wanted to touch on it because it's like the elephant in the room, okay? It's one of those things where a lot of people, throughout my career, since I started modeling when I was in school and then went to school and studied production and started um, working in TV commercials and styling people and working with the magazines and freelancing and all of that good stuff, I've met so many designers and I work with them in different positions, as being their coach, as being their stylist, as being their co-worker, like different positions. And I have to tell you, you know, most of them, right? They're very passionate about what they do. They work really hard, right? And they launch these amazing brands, right? And, eventually, right, it gets to a point where they don't have the stability that they desire. And then they close the brand, right? They close the business, they stop doing it and they branch into something else. They decide to change careers. They decide to do something else because honestly, they're not making the money that they want or that they need to stay open, to stay in business. So we have to ask ourselves, why are these fashion brands disappearing? Why are these fashion brands not moving forward, right? And it's not because people are not talented. It's not because the product is not great. It's not because people don't work hard, have work ethic. It's not because, X, Y, and Z. It's not because they have a problem with their supply chain, which sometimes happens, right? But most of the time, with most of the people that I work with, and most of you guys listening, it's not because you have a problem with any of those things, right? This is your dream. This is what you wanted to do since you were very young. You're passionate about it. You want to help people with your mission. You want to be part of this world and be surrounded by this beauty and create this beauty. And you want to, make everything more beautiful. And there's all these things, right? And yes, it's hard to do the production thing, but you figure it out. And yes, it's hard to, you know, that maybe there's some glamorous things that cost so much money, and certain things are so hard, like doing fashion shows, and it looks very glamorous, but it's a lot of work, but you still do it, right? And you enjoy it so much. So it's not about any of those things. Most of the time, it's because the numbers, it's because you're not making enough, or you don't have the stability that you desire to keep on going. And this episode is about breaking this down and solving this problem. So, why don't you have those numbers? Why are you not making the sales that you would like to make? And again, going back to the things that I just mentioned, it's not because the product is not good, or you're not working really hard, or you're not doing the necessary sacrifices, or you don't have the best person in your team, right? It's not because of that. It's because you're not marketing it well. Okay. And nowadays we see people, for example, on TikTok or on Instagram, who are very successful at doing just that, right? They don't really pay much attention to these other things that we're talking about, like the design or the quality of the product or other things, right, that we care about. And yet they're having so much success. Why? Because they're really focusing on the marketing, right? They are excited by they just want to sell, and they want to reach their customer, and they really want to connect with them, and they want to build this community, and they're doing this, and they're using the social media platforms to build it and have very successful businesses. So I'm not saying, don't pay attention to your quality, don't pay attention to your design, don't do the things that you want to do as a fashion entrepreneur. I'm just saying, get a clue, right? Pay attention to what's happening and seeing what's the thing that's going to change your business. right? You can still do your beautiful, intricate design, right? But if you don't market it, you're not going to have the business, right? And how do people market fashion brands nowadays? Social media. Okay. So, one of the things here, right? And there's different ways to go about this, but in this episode, we're going to focus on this thing that is the thing that is really running the world right now. And all the different businesses out there, even if they're not in fashion, right? If they're in other, you could be a plumber, you can be whatever it is, banker, you can be a real estate agent, whatever you're doing, right? And if you are not marketing yourself on social media in the right way, you are not getting the numbers that you desire. Okay. So the world has changed. That's something we just have to accept. Okay. So you, as a fashion designer, right, can go ahead and spend huge amounts of money on, you know, getting featured in a magazine and pay that booth on that expensive event and have that expensive showroom in that hotel and do this fashion show, this fashion week. You can do all those things, but all of those things are not going to get you those sales that the social media platform can give you if you figure it out. Okay, if you do it, learn how to do it well, and yeah, move forward with it. So I'm not saying don't do the fashion shows. I'm not saying don't do the showroom. I'm just saying you can focus all your energy or most of it in figuring out how to market it on social media, and you can change everything around, and then you'll have more than enough to do the other things you want to do. Don't be stressed about it and have the business of your dreams, right? So the other thing I want to talk about is social media is hard, right? A lot of people, they just try it a few ways, it doesn't work out for them, and they just leave it behind. And that's why they focus on the other things, right? Social media is a long game, it's a learning game, right? There's things happening all the time, technology changes, the world is evolving, right? So you have to keep on it. But staying on the other things that we already over, it's not going to change anything. So we can't keep relying on the things that before got us the results. We have to focus on the things that now are getting us the results. And I know it's hard. I know even for us in the fashion industry, who are an industry that is more, up to date with things and trends and things like that. Excuse me. It's still hard to leave the old template behind and dive into the new. But just look around you. Look around, go on social media, right? Go to the mall. Even the big brands are falling apart and they're moving away because they're not jumping into this new trend, into this new reality. Okay? Whoever is doing a good job on social media is the one that is winning at this game. Okay? It's just the truth, right? You could have spent billions of dollars on your brand and had celebrities market your brand. But nowadays, the new generations, perhaps they don't even know about that brand. They don't care about that brand because if you're not here and you're not doing a good job here, because it's not just being here and posting whatever, it's just figuring out how to connect with your audience, how to build community. If you're not doing that, you're not having the success. So we see it not only with the small brands, we see it with the big brands, right? But here I'm talking to you, my dear fashionpreneur, who has this dream and who cares about all these beautiful things, right? And you're doing such a beautiful job with your brand. But help yourself learning these things to move forward. Okay. So I want to share with you, okay, a quote that Gary Vee, I don't know if you know about Gary Vee, he's an entrepreneur, and he has this huge agency, the biggest agency in the world, and talks about all the time about marketing and social media. He's like the top authority on this. He shared the other day in a talk this quote that I want to share with you. Okay. He talks about you have to get serious about posting on all 7 platforms every day, multiple times a day. And the 7 platforms he always talks about: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter. I don't know if I said Twitter already. All these social media platforms out there, right? He talks about getting very serious about posting on all of them, right? Multiple times a day. Okay. And he said, being good at making content, which is what we're talking about, it's just not posting whatever, it's posting good content that is going to connect with your audience, right? Being good at making content is more important on business than being able to balance your checkbook. Okay. And he was very serious about this. Okay. And I agree with him 100%. I feel like this is the thing that can change everything in your fashion brand. And you need to take it seriously, because time keeps going by and I see all of these different entrepreneurs in the fashion industry, whether it's styling or their fashion brand as a designer, whatever it is, their makeup brand, right? Whatever it is, if they don't get good at this, at some point, they have to make that tough decision and they have to say, okay, I'm going to do something else. And you don't have to, because there's this amazing tool that on top of everything happens to be free. Yes, you can do ads, but you can start for free. You can post so many times a day for free. And you just have to figure out what kind of content connects with your audience. Okay. The old school marketing of a TV commercial, for example, with this glamorous model living this lifestyle, is not attracting people as much anymore. Okay. So if you replicate that and you do that on social media and you just have these pictures that are perfect, that don't communicate anything, or they're just telling people like, my new orange pair of heels, leather, blah, 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 like whatever. And they don't care. They want to connect more. I'm not saying this is the right thing, like this is how it should be, or, I'm just saying this is what is working. And what we're focusing here is what's working so we can have a successful business. Okay. And we're not talking about something crazy, because if you think about it, well, isn't it good that people want to connect with the brand in that way, to learn more about you and learn more about your product and really be a part of this community, of this world that you're creating? Yeah. So let's just debunk the questions, the myths that most of you guys have when it comes to this, because I already see you guys. Oh, Sandra, you're talking about social media, and then all these questions come in, the questions that I get all the time. First question, so what do I post? Why do I post? Well, you just start posting. You start posting, you come up with these categories of different things that you think people might be interested in, right? And you start posting and you start analyzing what's working with people, what gets likes, what doesn't get liked, what gets comments, or what gets shares. That's what it is. It's not rocket science. You don't have to take a huge class. You can. I mean, I teach this thing, right? And there's people who know it even better than me, right? And they have amazing classes and stuff. But like always, I say simple is more. And really what you have to do is just start doing it, because you start doing it and you learn it. Okay. You get a feel for it and you get comfortable about it and you start noticing what's happening. And then you can start tweaking all and make it perfect and make it work for you. Okay. No one can tell you what's exactly going to work. Yes, there's timings, you can do video, there's all these recommendations, right? But every product is unique. Every person who's posting is unique. Every audience is unique. So you have to figure out what works for you and your audience. So what am I going to post? Post whatever, just start posting, come up with some categories. I always talk about creating content pillars, things that you can have categories, so it's easier for you to come up with this content, right? And start posting and start seeing the results. Okay. The second thing is, where do I post? Where do I post? What platform do I use? Do I post on Twitter? Do I post on Facebook? Do I post on Instagram? Do I have a TikTok shop? Just start posting, okay, in the platform that you know the best, that you feel the most comfortable, that you can start being consistent at, okay? This guy, Gary Vee, talks about posting on all platforms several times a day, but he understands that everybody has different amounts of people, right, working for them, right? Some people are solopreneurs and stuff. He's just talking about the macro picture, like, this is what you can do, and this is going to change your business. But then you're not going to start there. You can just start by posting on Instagram today and being very good at it, and then seeing results, and then hiring someone to help you post on Facebook and all the other platforms, right? So don't get stopped by, where am I going to post? Well, start posting. Always, it's important to learn who is in what platform, and we can talk about it here really fast. It's not a big mystery. Where are you? You who are listening to me, your age. Where do you post the most? That's where the audience is. The people who are the same as you, your same age, they are in that platform. So for me, for example, most of the time I'm on Instagram, right? So people between, there's young people, but a lot of 30 somethings up to 50 something, right? They're a lot of the time here on Instagram, right? And if they're older than that, maybe they're 50s, 60s, even 70s, they're more on Facebook. And if they're in a professional setting, they're more on LinkedIn. And if they're way younger, they're usually either on Instagram, but most of the time really on TikTok, right? Even though TikTok, it's opening so much, and now a lot of different audiences are on TikTok, right? So that's it, right? There's nothing really, you can just write on Google who's hanging out in this platform. But I just told you, right? I just told you. So depending on the ages, just go to the platform, right? If you are reaching really young people, and just ask your niece who is that age, what's your favorite social media platform? Probably she's going to tell you, I don't know, TikTok. So be on TikTok, right? And if your brand is for your age and you're all the time on Instagram, do Instagram. If you are all about Facebook, right, then do Facebook. And then start there, start getting very good at it, and start expanding. That's it, right? And yes, every platform is a little bit different. You can talk a little bit different. The type of content, it's, you have to change it a little bit. And that's something you're going to learn in the process, but don't let it stop you. Just start doing it. The next thing is, when do I post? So when do I post? Should I post in the morning? Should I post in the evening? Should I post when? Just start posting consistently. So nowadays you can just post once a day. Pick the time that you can post once a day and be consistent at it. So if every day you can post at 1 p.m. because you're on break, post every day at 1 p.m. That's it. That's it. And then expand, right? Then expand. Remember what he said. Gary Vee said, you can post, you should post multiple times a day. You can get up to 4 times a day would be ideal, right? But we know we don't have the manpower to do that, right? But if you post once a day on every platform, it'll already start changing things for you. And then you can do it 2 times a day. Maybe you can start seeing results, and then you can hire someone that can help you do it 4 times a day, right? So don't limit again yourself. Just start doing it and just be consistent at it, okay? The thing here is about being consistent, okay? If you're gonna post in the particular platform, post consistently in that platform, post around the same time, come up with your content and start testing it and see if this type of content does better, if that type of content does better, so you can gather data, so you can improve at it, okay? The other thing, so how often, that's another, like, how often should I post? You should post all the time. The more you post, the more exposure you get. So if you can post, again, once a day, awesome. If you can post twice a day, awesome. If you can post, maybe you're in a place where, Sandra, I cannot post, I'm in a 9 to 5 and I'm building this brand on the side, and I can only post 3 times a week. Well, start there. Start posting 3 times a week at the time that works for you, that you can be consistent at it. Start creating that content and start seeing how it does, and then make changes around the results that you get. And that's it. That's it. And then the more you grow, the more you can post, the more time you have, the more you can expand, or the more results you get, the more people you can hire to help you with this, right? Okay, so these are the things that I get all the time. These are the things that stop people, like where do I post, and what do I post, and when do I post, and all of that. And yes, there's answers to all of those things. The overall is what I just told you here, which really gives you the freedom to start doing it right now. Like you can stop watching this video and you can just go ahead and start doing this. You can start changing the life of your brand right now. And then the other thing is, which is something that is really important, I talk about all the time, it's about building brand. Okay, you have to build a brand. Just having a brand is not enough. Just having a logo and this type of product that is really good, it's not enough. You have to build a brand. What's a brand? It's everything related to that brand. It's not only the colors and the logo and the messaging, it's also, building community. It's also customer experience. It's also how you make people feel, right? When you interact with them, all of that stuff is brand, right? Why do people go to Starbucks, for example? They don't go only for the coffee. Yes, they like the coffee, right? But a lot of people tell me there's other kinds of coffee that taste, they like it better. But they want to go to Starbucks because they like to talk to their barista and have their local barista, and they like the convenience because they can go through the drive-through, and they like the atmosphere that when they go there with their friends, it's relaxing and chill, and they have good music, and it's cozy because everything, the atmosphere is cozy. Like there's all kinds of things, and all of that stuff is brand, right? Once you go inside that place, even if it doesn't have the logo, because of how they treat you, because of how they make you feel, because of all of that, right? The experience that you have, right? That is the brand. That is the branding. That's the thing that's going to keep people coming in. And you might not like Starbucks, and that's okay. I'm just giving you an example of why people choose that brand, for example, right? Just to give you an idea. So you can do the same with your brand. You should do the same with your brand, with the ideals and the values that you have, and develop that brand experience, and how you want to treat your customer, how do you want to make them feel, and how do you want to have that interaction with them, and what are the colors that are going to give this feeling, and all of that stuff. Okay, so it's not only about the coffee or that shoe that you're selling or that handbag, it's everything around it, right? Because that's what's going to make people come back again and again. And then if you combine that, right, building that brand, right, that identity, that community aspect of it, right? And if you start marketing it well with social media, there's your response. It doesn't really matter, right, which supplier, right? I know behind the scenes, yes, pricing, logistics, all that stuff is important, but you can figure that out, right? Or you can figure out the website host, or you can figure out all those different things that you work on every day, day in and day out, and what's the best material or to use for this, or what's the best place to get this kind of product that you want, or all those things. You can figure it out. That doesn't matter. Okay. And I know you can be prideful about your product and how it's made and all of that, and that could be part of the branding, of course. So it's important, but it's more important to build that brand and build that community aspect with your customer and market it well, so you can get the sales, so you can get the sustainability, so you can do all the whole thing. Okay, so let me see. I think that's what I have for you guys today. There's so many details, so many things we can talk about. Really, what you need to focus, my goal here is, I don't want to, again, rain on anybody's parade, right? And say the old fashioned world doesn't exist anymore. It kind of doesn't, right? And we can maintain it alive. I'm not saying we should not do certain things, the photo shoots and all that stuff. Yes, that's awesome. All of it, it's awesome. but we need to focus on what we need to focus to have the business going, okay? To accomplish the goals, to have the dream, right? And if you are a person who doesn't want to work on this and you just want to have a business that is just this fun thing for you, this expression, artistic expression, and you don't care about how many sales you have and things like that, then that's okay too. That's not a business. That's something, maybe it could be your hobby, maybe it could be just a side thing that you do, and that's totally okay. But if you want to have stability from it, if your goal is to replace your 9 to 5, or your goal is to bring certain income in to have a different lifestyle, or you want to take your family on vacations, or whatever it is, if you have a financial goal behind it aside from your artistic expression, then take this seriously. Take this seriously, because if you focus on these two things, branding and marketing, okay, because that's another thing. Sales are very important, but sales, you have to continuously do them. So if you do sales calls, or you have salespeople, right, or you send a sales email, whatever, you have to continue doing it, which you should do it, right? But you have to continuously do it to get the sale. However, when you do marketing, the sales come to you, okay? So when you build a community and you create content that is marketing that brand, and it's constantly, let's say you create this video, let's say you market your brand on social media, creating these weekly videos, right? Every Friday you show up and you answer your customers' questions, let's say, right? Some people have podcasts, some people write blog posts, some people, different things, right? They just show up every day on social media, they do lives, they do different things. However, you decide to market and create one piece of content that you share every week, right? Main piece of content, right? If you do that, right, that piece of content lives on, right? Whenever people watch that content, they can buy, okay? And that piece of content can be growing and growing more and more, okay? Because it can be found on the internet and people can share it so they can bring it to more people. And then also it can go viral, right? So it keeps giving back. It's the return on investment on a good piece of content has no comparison. Okay, when you do a sales call, you're doing a sales call with that one person, and either you get the sale or you don't get the sale, right? Or if you go old school and you knock doors, you get the sale or you don't get the sale. And yes, maybe you follow up in 3 months, or maybe you follow up in 6 months, and maybe that could happen, that one sale. But when you do a video and you post it on social media and you get a good response, and that person sends it to another person and another person, and it goes viral, and you can use it as an ad, and you can reach, thousands of people, or maybe hundreds of thousands of people with it, right? It changes the game. It's not going to be one sale. It's going to be tons of sales. You can change your whole business. You can change your whole life, right? And again, this is not about money. This is about having a sustainable business, okay? About being able to be stable, about being able, and you decide how big you want to go. That is your prerogative. You decide how big you want to be and how much time you want to spend, all of that stuff, how much money you want to invest in this, which, by the way, again, just to get that out of the way, you can do organic social media marketing. You can just post organically without doing ads and have amazing results. You don't have to, if you're worried now, oh, but I don't have the money to do the ads, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. You can do that later. You can start with social media, just posting organically, and have amazing results. Okay. And again, another thing that I could mention that Gary Vee talks about a lot too nowadays is that social media game change in the sense that nowadays it doesn't matter how many followers you have, okay? So you can have 0 followers, and if you create a good piece of content, it can be shared, reshared, and go viral just the same, okay? So you don't have to have these huge followings like celebrities and people who have done it for years, right? Because they, even though they work really hard to get to that place, right? If they put out a piece of content that is not good, people are not going to watch it. And that's it. It doesn't matter how many followers they have. So it evens the field. It's about how good the piece of content is. It's not about how much money you invested, or how much work you invested, or how much time you've been doing it. All of those things don't count anymore. Okay. And again, I'm not saying this is right, this is wrong. I'm just telling you what's happening right now so you know how to use it to your advantage so you can have a sustainable business. Okay. So again, going back to the sales and the marketing, it's amazing to do sales, but and you should do it, but do marketing. Focus on marketing because that's going to bring you way more, and that's going to build the brand, and that's going to build that loyalty with your customer. Okay, so if you need any help with this, we have our membership, our monthly membership. The only thing we focus on in our monthly membership is branding, marketing, sales. That's what I focus on. And mindset. I like to put the mindset, motivation, and stuff in there because a lot of people need it throughout this process, and I need it. Right? We need to keep on going. Some days it's just really hard. We go through really ups and downs that are crazy, and we need it. But I focus. Everything I do is about that, and I give you different strategies, and I give you very simple frameworks just to get started. And I'm there to answer your questions too. You can come to the calls and ask me, hey, I'm doing this, what do you think, how it's working, blah blah blah, and just everything. My focus is that because I think this is the thing that can make these brands grow, make these brands go to the next level, and we can have more designers and people can get to see the beautiful work that you do. Okay, I'm all about sharing this and helping people create the business and the life that they want. Okay. And I know that you can do it because I know you're so talented and you're so passionate about it, right? If you are working in a 9 to 5 or another job, I know you work really hard, right? But you have this thing inside, you have these talents, right? You're very creative and you're very good at what you're doing. Why not share that with the world? The only thing missing, the only piece missing is just figuring out that marketing, figuring out how to really, create that brand experience for your audience. And this is a process that, you know, it's just something natural. It's a natural part of this building business situation, and it's just what's going to take it to the next level. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to leave links below to the membership and to other videos in case you need more support. I hope that this was helpful. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching. And I will see you guys in our next episode. Okay. Bye, guys.